Hi everyone, Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd. It's time for a review of the new Shlohmo EP, Laid Out. Shlohmo is an electronic music producer whose name completely confuses me. And what confuses me even more is that I can't even really say that he has a set style. Because when I first heard of this dude's work back in 2011 up to today, where he's had a pretty steady stream of releases, he's embraced everything from glitch hop to ambient music, maybe a touch of drone, as well as future garage, some wonky as well. It's come to a point where I am very, very impressed with this dude's versatility. And if there is a constant thread running through much of his stuff, it is a very deep appreciation for all sounds, shadowy, nocturnal, with maybe just a touch of atmosphere. His productions do have a tendency to be on the softer side as well. Now, of course, this new EP of his jumps on board with some newer musical trends, but of course he twists them into the somewhat melancholy, moody, vast, and open vibes that typically come from his music. For example, Shlohmo kind of hops on the bandwagon with nuanced, alternative R&B, which is pretty hot right now, with a guest vocal from How to Dress Well, a guy who was really ahead of the curve when it comes to this whole alternative R&B thing. The song is called Don't Say No. It's gone semi-viral on SoundCloud, where it has racked up tens of thousands of listens. And it's for good reason, because the collaboration goes off without a hitch. It's like Shlohmo and How to Dress Well, though maybe someone wouldn't think off the top of their head to combine these two artists. They both have an appreciation for atmospheric tracks. Texture also plays a really huge role in the releases of both of these artists, and that is apparent on this new track as well, right from the get-go, with these very watery synth chords. How to Dress Well's vocals just float on top of these chords. They're sleek, they're emotive, they're high-pitched, they're in this very, very nice falsetto. It feels way more on point than some of the stuff I remember hearing from his last full-length LP that I reviewed last year. I just like the mid-range that his vocals come through with sometimes. It's really, really painful in a way, not in a bad way, in an emotional way. But How to Dress Well can reach up into those very, very high notes where his voice does tend to get kind of feathery. Now, on top of this, Shlohmo takes what feels like chunks of improvisations from How to Dress Well's vocals and just turns up the distortion on them, makes them really just kind of obscured, and plays them against his voice throughout the track, and it's to a really nice effect, especially as Shlohmo's synthesizers are swelling and getting heavier and really creating an ocean for How to Dress Well's vocals to just swim through. And what I love so much about this track is that Shlohmo and How to Dress Well create for this song such a seamless progression. It just slowly gets more intense, gets heavier, gets deeper, gets sadder, and once the beat finally goes hard and kicks in, all these trap style hi-hats are twittering away. The final form, the final groove of this song is a killer and makes this track a great opening track, just to stand out in Shlohmo's discography in general. Trap is another thing that plays a pretty significant role on the 5 tracks of this EP. This is especially the case with the track Later, which is the first song that dropped from this new EP, and maybe my favorite production on this EP, one of my favorite productions of this year. Not only does Shlohmo lay out a detailed trap beat on this thing with the hi-hats and the snares just clicking and clacking away, but this beat is causing a ruckus against these synths that are so busy, much busier than you would expect a trap instrumental to be. The synth arpeggios and the synth leads, it's all really epic. And Shlohmo complements these greatly produced synths with this awesome vocal sample. And man, he plays these vocal cuts like an instrument. I love the melodies that they're singing. I love the way that they're placed in the beat. It's just so freaking dramatic. I actually think this is Shlohmo's most emotionally powerful song yet, because as he introduces these vocals, the beat gets heavier. It's sort of a drop in a sense. It actually hits me with this overwhelming sense of, oh, that's so pretty. Shlohmo, with these vocal samples and the synths and the trap beat, I mean, creates a perfect rush. Now, my issue with this EP is that I feel that Shlohmo surrounds these songs with a few lackluster ones as well. I feel like there are some filler songs on here, given that they are working with roughly the same recipe as Later and Don't Say No, but with less layers. It's not like he switches gears or anything. The gloomy flavored trap music is still there. In a sense, the production kind of reminds me of the Things That Happen at Night EP that I reviewed from Milo earlier this year, except maybe not quite as detailed or as layered. The final track on this EP does make sure that things are leaving off strong. Out of Hand is a solid freaking track, and though it does have, like I said, some of the elements of the previous songs, it does have way more layers and a much more interesting progression to it than some of the other tracks here. It's not really so much the similarity that bugs me, but the comparative amount of detail in one song versus another. And I like the beat switch around the middle of this track too, which changes all the sounds into something much more murky, much darker than what the first half of the song was. It's a surprise and a really cool change of pace. Overall, this is a very, very enjoyable 25 minutes of music, feeling a strong 7 to a light 8. And if you've given it a listen, what did you think of it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Why? What do you think I should review next? And yeah, that's it. Shlohmo, laid out forever.